so much for listening to this episode of Earrings Off. We want to invite you to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. You can find us on Facebook at Earrings Off Podcast and on Instagram at The Earrings Off Podcast.
Welcome to Earrings Off. I'm Lou.
And I'm Teresa. Let's get started.
Hello, y'all. We are thrilled to have with us today on the Earrings Off podcast, Olaolu Ogunyemi. Olaolu is a proud Marine officer, award-winning author, and the founder of Parent-Child Connect. Parent-Child Connect is a dynamic resource hub dedicated to empowering families and helping parents raise resilient leaders. With a passion for inspiring others, Olaolu combines practical parenting tips, faith-based wisdom, and a commitment to building strong communities. Through his blog, children's books, and partnerships, including providing engaging Bible stories via YouVersion, Olaolu encourages us all to care deeply, lead by example, and to never give up. Wow. Lou and I are so excited for this conversation. Olaolu, welcome to Earrings Off.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm being very excited. I've been thinking about this and waiting for it all week long, so I'm excited to jump in.
Now, why would you do that to us? Why would you put that kind of pressure on us?
That's okay. We can handle it, and we feel the same. Teresa's tripping. She knows that we're ready.
All right, let's get into it. You talk a lot about leading last. What does that mean, and why is it so important in today's world?
That's a great question. Thank you. Really, I started this philosophy based upon what I learned. So I'm a United States Marine, and we have this big thing called command presence. And that's what we all talk about as young leaders. We come in, we want to really fill the room, be the loudest voice, almost like on the movies that you see. But then I started learning that that's not necessarily the best leader. The best leader is the one who learns to serve others. The reason I coined the phrase lead last is for two reasons. Number one, I'm implying that there are things that you have to do to prepare yourself to be a good leader. So you have to learn about yourself. You have to learn about the people who you're leading. And then secondly, the idea is that it's just the same concept of he who leads last leads best. I just changed that phrase to make sure that people know that you're coming from behind. You're trying to lift people up as a leader instead of being in front of them and always trying to be the loudest voice in the room. Those are a couple reasons that we want to do that so we can create a lasting impact when we lead the organization.
I like that, actually.
Yeah, so do I. So listen, your children's book, Crow from the Shadow, was born from a very personal place. What inspired it, and how has it impacted your own parenting journey?
What inspired it was I wanted to learn how to connect with my children. So I'm one of the dads who I graduated Grambling State University as a 22-year-old with 3-year-old daughter, and I was married. And I was completely lost on what to do. So I have 5 siblings, 4 boys, and we're just close in age. So all we did was just batter each other like rams. So when God decided to give me a daughter, I was like, oh man, I have no idea what to do with this human being, you know? So I decided that I wanted to find ways to connect with her. And what I remembered is how my mom would sit down with us and read stories and engage with us. So I was like, well, why not sit down and read a story with my daughter? Well, why not create a story? And in this case, it was Crow from the Shadow. Crow from the Shadow is about a crow, which is not a likely hero. People think of crows as, things that just pick through trash and so on and so forth. There's a reason I chose a crow. For number one, again, because it's not a likely hero. Number two is because a lot of us, I feel like we could relate to the crow if we were to stop and look at it. It's a character who is just like us. We're working hard every day. It's just trying to do the best it can to provide and live. Then now it's going through life. And this is what Crow does in the story. He's going through life and he's being told what he can't do or what he shouldn't do. He's told that where he's from, he's not going to be able to achieve this thing or go to this place or where he was born and so on and so forth. And this is really the Crow's story. And in the end, he learned that the shadow, which is any opposing force that tells you you cannot be what you want to be, he learns that the shadow cannot tell him what to do. He controls his own fate. So the reason I chose a crow, and the biggest reason get very excited about it, is because every time a child sees a crow, I tell them, just remember that you control your own fate and you control your own destiny. And that's been the message I convey to my children. So as a parent, it's been great to talk to them
Hmm.
about it and communicate this, not just and share the moment with them, but when they get out there and they see a crow, they automatically think, oh man, that's
Yeah.
dad's story, and it just
Wow.
creates a
Yeah.
new narrative for them.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Hmm.
I like that too. So, I find this hard to believe, but you've mentioned that you could have easily ended up in prison or worse if it weren't for the key influences in your life. What turned things around for you?
It was the investment of time. My parents
Okay.
never gave up on me. And
Mm.
that's one thing I have to give them credit for because I wanted to fit in. I was one of those that was growing up and I wanted to feel like I was a part of something. I wanted to feel like I belonged and I was very insecure growing up. And so I joined the wrong crowds and a lot of the things
Okay.
that they were doing would have had me in prison had it not been for my dad just saying no. I mean, there's times as parents, I think we especially as young parents, it's almost like we're scared to tell our children no at times. And my dad did that so many times, and it was like he had a knack for it. Every time he told me no, my buddies, my friends at the time, were doing something they probably shouldn't have been doing, or not probably, or shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah.
And so it's just the lessons I learned through that, and that really the turning point was having committed and engaged parents and
Mhm.
mentors and a community
Okay.
that if they saw me, they'll snap me in line real quickly.
Yeah. Right. And
Yeah.
who never gave up on you. Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
What practical advice do you have for parents who want to raise resilient, emotionally healthy kids in today's chaotic world?
Well, there's a few things I would say. So first of all, realize what's influencing the children. A lot of us, we've grown up in a time where screen time is a thing, and we try to figure out how to control it or when we need to control it and all these things. And I don't have an exact number or recommendation for it, but I will tell you that there are influences out there. There are influences in YouTube Kids. There are influences in the TV shows that children are watching. So there's not just harmless, and we have to understand what influences exist, and we either combat them or collaborate with them. That's really the first thing I would say. Second thing is I would just recommend doing your best to put your children in positions in a safe environment to where they can learn. And I'll give one example. I've watched my son. I laugh about it, but I've watched him trying to break down boxes to take to a recycle bin. He and his
Mhm.
friend one time as I was trying to help them learn. I watched them for probably 20 minutes just break down boxes to put into the recycle bin.
Mhm.
And it was just very interesting the way he was choosing to do it instead of, like we probably would do, take the tape off and just fold the box. He
Mhm.
and his friend were just like full on karate mode on these boxes to break them down. But it's those kind of things that as they were getting frustrated and trying to figure it out and they're dumping the recycle bin out and trying to put everything back in, it's those moments where as parents, sometimes, especially those who are young and passionate and energetic, we want to jump in there and help them out. But those moments are important. Those moments are really important for them to be learning. And sometimes, yeah, you may need to guide them through, maybe give them a hint here and there, but for the most part, it's a controlled environment. Allow them to learn and
Mhm.
grow. Allow them, with my children, I encourage them. Hey, if you see somebody new, go speak to them, shake their hands, look in their eyes. Do not be the one to think that I'm going to introduce you to somebody new. That's not my thing, and I don't think that's helpful for the children. So those are
Mhm.
little things that we could do as parents just to encourage them to be
Mhm.
more resilient. It's creating
Mhm.
an environment where they can actually grow.
Mhm. I love that. Okay.
You mentioned that you were a Marine, right? How did that shape the way you lead at home and in the community?
One of the biggest things I learned from the Marine Corps is that everybody you lead is different. So when
Okay.
I came back home to my kids, I realized that so I have three. I have a 15-year-old daughter, I have an 11-year-old son, and a 6-year-old boy. And I realized they are wildly different in the way I talk to them, the way I spend time with them, the amount of time I need to spend with them, the activities we do, so on and so forth. And that's one of the lessons I learned in the Marine Corps because naturally, when we get into that environment, we know that we're going to have hundreds or sometimes thousands of Marines that we're going to lead. but we already know that everybody comes from a different background, a different walk of life. We don't know
Mm-hmm.
what their parents have taught them. We don't know what their communities have, some of the good and bad behaviors they've learned. All we know is they came from different places, and we have to train them and lead them in different ways. But a lot of times, because our children are from us, they're genetically ours, and they're in the same house, they're in the same environments, and learning the same values. We sometimes we forget that they're still different human beings. The advice that I give people is always try to make sure you know that they're different. You're going to have to lead them different, and it's going to be different from the way you were raised. The way I was
Mm-hmm.
raised would never work on my children
Yeah.
because that's just not who they are. They also weren't as mischievous as I was, but the way I was raised just wasn't the same. So, and
Yeah.
that's one of the
Yeah.
things that if we had to learn.
So, what role does faith play in how you raise your family and lead others?
Well, that I love that question because it's one of the biggest recommendations I make. The way I look at the family and any team for that matter is there's always it's like a triangle, and there's always a focal point that you can get to. Sometimes where you're along the triangle, it can seem like you're going in opposite directions. But
Mm-hmm.
as long as you have a single point that you can point back to, and for us, we're Christians, so that is God. We always can come back together and say, okay, well, I may have disagreed with you. I may not like the way that you made that decision, and I allow my children the opportunity to have these discussions respectfully, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I like for them to challenge the way that we're thinking. And sometimes if I make a decision, because I grew up in a household where if I ask a question or I say something and I'm told to do something, I if I asked why, at best the answer I would get is because I said so.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
that's just
Mm-hmm.
how I grew up. What I learned from my household, at least from my children, is that that doesn't necessarily teach them what I want them to know. It's not teaching them how to critically think through situations and how to be creative in their thinking as well. So I
Yeah.
just make sure that our faith, we have a single point of faith and our values and beliefs that we all can go back to and say, okay, no matter what's going on in our personal lives, at school or at work, we always can come back together and know that we have something that we can share no matter what's going on in our lives. So the belief, the faith is extremely important for us.
Mm.
Nice.
Okay.
So you've provided some real practical tools that, folks can use like right away, right? So can you walk us through one of your favorite tools or frameworks from Parent Child Connect or Lead Last?
Oh, absolutely. So I would say one of my favorite is the DOPE. I always tell people success is dope. That's a really corny acronym, but I use it because it sticks. That's that's one of my favorite acronyms because the first thing I tell people is when you want to achieve success or you want to get back to where you are, the first step is dream. Because a lot of us, life has knocked the wind out of us, and it does it continuously, and we're
Yeah.
overwhelmed. There's just so much
Yeah.
stuff going on, and we've just lost our ability to dream. So the first thing I recommend to people is come bring back daydreaming. A lot of us have lost our ability to daydream. Some of us were yelled at for daydreaming, but I'm encouraging people bring back dreaming, dream in high definition. Imagine yourself doing whatever it is that you wanted to do when you were a child or when you
Mm-hmm.
were an adult, whatever it was, dream again.
Mm-hmm.
Second is offload. So what that means is taking that dream now and putting it on paper, putting it on a computer, putting it in your voice notes, get it out of your head. It's amazing how many people I've talked to that the first time that they've talked about their dream or seen their dream is when they're talking to me. And I'm like, no, the first time you need to see your dream is in your journal. First time you need to hear your dream is when you're speaking it out to yourself. It doesn't have to be pretty, but just brain dump it, get it out of your head.
Mm-hmm.
So dream, offload, and P is for plan. So this is the first time you take your resources and where you are, the people who you know, and the people you need to know, and apply it to your plan or to your dream. So that way you start caging it and see what is realistic and what you can do. So planning involves understanding who's there, who needs to be a part of your dream, who needs to maybe invest, what resources you need, and so on and so forth. So now you're actually putting a plan in place to achieve your dream. And the last step, I can't forget, is execute. Just
Mm-hmm.
execute. It doesn't have to be a perfect plan. It doesn't have to be some wild dream. You don't have to go, put a second mortgage on your house, but just execute. Start today. And that's really my favorite framework because I've had to use this over and over in my life. Dream, offload, plan, execute. And sometimes I
Mm.
get stuck in that planning. A lot of us get stuck in the planning phase, and we just keep analyzing. Oh, what can go wrong? What
Right,
can go
right,
wrong? And now we even
Oh,
have
absolutely.
ChatGPT, and we
right,
have these AI, and we're saying what can go wrong, and it gives us
right.
a million things that can go wrong, and we keep planning. Don't get stuck planning. Execute.
Right.
Hmm. Okay.
That's some great advice.
It is. It's dope, if I do say so myself. So listen, you're passionate about keeping kids out of the penitentiary system and equipping them to lead. So, what do you believe is the community's role in this mission?
Thank you. That's a great question. The reason I'm so passionate is because I always think of one of my friends who I was with. We grew up from well, grade all the way through eighth grade. And I think at the end of eighth grade, he dropped out of school. And the one thing I remember is when I was getting in trouble, we're getting in trouble in class together. They would tell me, "Hey, I'll call your dad." And of course, I'll straighten up because I didn't want my dad showing up. He may be 5'7", probably 160, but that man showing up to
Yeah,
school was probably one of the
yeah,
most intimidating things in the world.
yeah.
But the interesting thing, though, is for the other young man, they'll just put him in the back of the classroom. And that's my problem. And that's what I'm trying to encourage parents, teachers, mentors, caregivers, coaches, anybody who has communication or connection with children, or you even come across children. I'm
Mhm,
encouraging you to join hands with parents because there are parents that need help. Now, I don't ascribe to the narrative that black fathers aren't home, but in
mhm,
this scenario, a lot of my friends, their fathers weren't in the picture and their
mhm,
mothers were working tirelessly. I mean, we're
mhm,
talking 3 jobs just trying to keep the
mhm.
lights on. And he was
Right.
being influenced, they were being influenced by somebody, and usually a sibling or older cousin, and they're just
Mhm,
being influenced by money and things of that nature. And that led to trouble. What I would believe the community can do is help out, get into schools, invite people who are success stories and proof sources. Because a lot of the things we saw growing up and what we aspired to be growing up had something to do with what we saw on TV and the things that we thought were glamorous.
mhm,
But that was just like the example we had. We thought we
mhm,
had to be athletes. We thought we had to be entertainers to get out of where we were. But I think the best thing that we could do is provide a proof source for them and be there for them. Just
mhm,
don't give up on them. Don't push them
mhm,
in the back of the classroom and just let them pass. Continue to invest. I've seen it done right. One of my eighth grade teachers, Miss Arthur, I saw her invest in this young man, and he got a C in that class. But it was the most heartwarming C that I've ever seen. And even as an eighth grader, I remember thinking
mhm,
like, wow,
mhm,
this was by far, Miss Arthur's class was the hardest English class I've ever taken. And that includes college. And what I believe though is by her investing in him, that gave him one more person that he can turn to. Now imagine if more people decided, nope, Mr. Ogunyemi, come to the front of the class, and all the rest of you come over here. Nope, we're not doing this. Come sit down now, as you're going to do
mhm.
this work. And it was just that direct communication and her toiling with him and continue to work with him. She never gave up on him, and that goes back to my original theme: never give up. Sometimes
Yeah.
it seems bad.
Mhm.
Sometimes the children seems like they're not responding the way we want them to, but just keep planting the seed, keep being there
Yeah.
for them, and be the person that they need you to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. Keep caring. Wow.
Keep caring.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Alalu, if there's one thing you hope listeners walk away after this conversation, what is it?
Oh, that's a great question because there's so many things. But I'll say the one thing is exactly what we were just talking about. I would say never, ever give up. Always care and continue to invest in everybody that you see. All of us are leaders. We're in a position of authority. When we come across children, even if they're just at the store,
Mhm.
they're watching you and they're learning from your cues. So be an example for everybody you meet and smile. So there's a lot of people that don't smile enough. So
Mhm.
smile and show people that you care and you're welcome into your life. If there's anything that I want people to take from the day, I want you to know that you're awesome. And I believe that we all have the ability to leave a positive impact on the world around us.
Mhm.
Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We've reached the last of our questions, right? Are there any other parting words that you'd like to leave with our audience?
Absolutely. So the only other thing I would say is if you want to get in contact with me, you can visit me at my website, which is www.parent-child-connect.com. There you'll see all my resources. You'll see the blog. You'll see my children's books. You'll even see my partnership with YouVersion, where I provide Bible stories to help work through and build your relationship. So again, that website is parent-child-connect.com, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Thank
Right.
you so much.
Thank
We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too. Thank you.